true or not? It's a dogma. Full stop. No further questioning. You cannot know, really speaking, what is right or wrong. And this, if you question, don't ask that question. It's dogma. Accept what I'm saying. Remain satisfied with it. Finished. The second dogma is that even if you ask this question, you should not, but even if you ask this question and make a big quest of reasoning, you will find that reason will only give you two ideas. One is that you can know the truth only when you become completely comprehensive. Till that time you are only partially right. You have to be comprehensive. And you can never become comprehensive. Therefore that quest is finished. Don't move in that direction. It's a dogma. Nobody today says that you can be comprehensive. You can attain to it. Nobody is saying this. Therefore there's a dogma. You cannot be. Finished. Now don't ask the question. It's a dogma. The third dogma is this is what comes from some section of people who believe God has told you what is good and what is bad. Therefore it is good and what is bad. And if you ask them further question, how do you know God has said it? They say God has said it. It is in the Bible. It is in the Gita. Given. And children are told, don't ask this question, you just follow. It's a dogma. No answer is given properly. It's a dogma. Fourth is the dogma of religion. First is the dogma of physical senses. Second is the dogma of reason. Third is the dogma of ethics. And fourth is the dogma of religion, which says God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. How do you know? It is given in the Bible again. Just as God has told you what is right and what is wrong, similarly God has also, it is to be accepted that God is omnipotent. Even if you say there is an evil here, and if God is omnipotent, He should have destroyed it, don't ask that question. Don't question it. It is given in the Bible, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedas, God is omnipotent. And if you can't answer the question about evil, don't worry. Believe that God is omnipotent. It's a dogma. In the presence of these dogmas, our children are now safe. They can simply say, I don't accept any dogmas, and let me be comfortable with what I am doing. Why do you bother me? In other words, there is no quest, there is no promise that if you make a challenge to these dogmas, you will really come to know that knowledge is possible. Now this is the task of philosophy. Philosophy can tell you that there is a possibility of arriving at true knowledge, not dogma. The basic definition of philosophy is a pursuit of knowledge in which there is no dogma whatsoever. At one time, philosophers believed that philosophy is possible. But these four dogmas have proved that philosophy is impossible. You may not be aware of this movement today in the modern times, but this is a very powerful instrument today. Philosophy is impossible. It's a useless task. You should not be philosophizing. Therefore, the one venue by which you could have broken these dogmas is not allowed. He said, don't ask philosophical questions. And our students find it very easy. Don't ask philosophical questions. Don't put to me philosophical questions. Even the greatest scientists and thinkers say philosophy is useless. I also believe it, because it gives trouble to think philosophically. And I am quite happy with my television. What is the problem? I need money for it. All right, I'll earn money. What is there in it? I'll become multi-millionaire. Why not? I'll become. You continue in this particular center of gravity. The only way by which you can break this whole circle is when you believe, when the society assumes that true quest of knowledge is possible. This was in the Upanishads. Our center of gravity was seeking out a teacher who will give you the knowledge and who could say, yes, I have seen. What is the magic of Ramakrishna, who could break the dogma of Vivekananda? Vivekananda had the dogma that people talk about God, but it is all nonsense. People have not seen God, and yet they talk of God. And that was his big blockade. When he met Ramakrishna and he asked him this question, have you seen God? He said, yes. His dogma was broken. His whole life changed because there was a challenge. Somebody said, yes, it can be known. I can show you. This is the real need of mankind. You may say it's a difficult thing, but that is why I said, if you do not want to go through a period of slavery, then you have to break these four dogmas. And I would like teachers really to be able to break these dogmas themselves. And this, according to me, is a task of the teacher of today. That's why it's so difficult. I even hesitate to ask the teachers. It's a very difficult task to break these four dogmas. Unless you break these four dogmas, your children are not going to inquire into that higher realm of knowledge. The center of gravity will be on television and not on God. And if not on God, not on values. It has no meaning. This is the analysis of the situation. And therefore, this is the task. If our teachers in India do not understand this, it is very rare that such a time is available with teachers as I am getting today. Very rare. Thanks to your principal, who has given me this time, so that at the end of 2 hours and a half I am able to tell you where exactly the shoe pinches, where precisely is the problem, and where exactly you can find a solution if an effort is made. And that is the task to be performed by us, by India. It will be done. I have complete confidence it will be done. But if there is an increasing number of people understanding it, it will be quicker. Maybe that we shall not be required to go through that painful experience of slavery again. But if you don't do it now, we shall go through that period of slavery, again 50 years, 100 years, then we shall again ask ourselves, my Lord, where have we gone wrong? Then we shall awake, and one day like this, we shall put that question really, truly, sincerely. Today, even today, this question is just a kind of a goody proposition. It's not something imperatively necessary for us today, although for me it is imperative. But in the audience, this question is not imperative. We do not yet imagine that we shall have to go through that great grinding of slavery once again. That slavery may come in a different form, not in the way in which Britishers came us. It will be the invasion of McDonald's everywhere, in every village in India. It will be the invasion of Chinese goods all over India, where people will say, I want Chinese product, not Indian product. I want to have contract with Chinese, I want to have contract with American. And your young boys and girls will run after them. This is also slavery. It will happen. It's already happening. Then we shall realize one day after, let us say 50, 60, 70 years, then we shall say, is there any solution, any way out? And remember, there is no other way out. This is the real path. Our teachers have to play a role, heroic role. They have to play a role of the quest of knowledge. They have to develop skills. They have to stop quarreling. They have to create a new form of existence. If they don't do it today, tomorrow it will be necessary for them to do it. You can only postpone it, you cannot avoid it. I think I have taken a lot of your time. It's exactly 7 o'clock now.
Say, you have the whole evening.
Pardon?
You have to go the whole evening.
It's already 7 o'clock. No, you told me from 4:30 to 7.
Yes.
So now it is already 7, 5 minutes to 7. So I said that now,
We will never stop to pray.
I think many teachers must be quite tired now after such a long harangue. In spite of putting in their best efforts, children at times are not able to achieve their aim in life. This disheartens them. How can they be pacified? Should they be taught to change their aim or change their cause of action and pursue their same aim? Different children have different problems. I cannot say one general answer. But it is true that children require today a tremendous understanding, tremendous affection, tremendous love. Today's children are rebellious. They do not want to hear what is called higher. There is a kind of a general atmosphere in the world today which is impatient with that which is higher, that which requires a very special effort. If you can make higher very attractive, if you can pour into the children a higher aim, and I don't want to prescribe something which is very difficult, because I know how difficult it is. You require, let us say, these teachers, if they agree to pursue a certain line of development, for 20 years, as I had told you at the very beginning, then these questions can be answered properly and truly. Otherwise, these questions are very difficult. We have to accept that children will be rebellious. We won't be able to satisfy them. There will be some kind of tug of war, little bit here, little bit there. You cushion one way, cushion the other way. Somehow muddle out, but it can't be really solved. In fact, Sri Aurobindo has said, we are passing through an evolutionary crisis. It's a crisis. And crisis is not fully understood by us. You see, all around we find everything is going on well. What is the crisis? If you tell people there's a crisis, people don't experience there is a crisis. You go to aerodromes, see the cinema halls, see the hotels, see the parties, schools, everywhere. Everything is so nice, everything is running so well. Where is the crisis? It is only when you talk like this, when we are talking heart to heart, soul to soul, and really analyze the problem and then see, and we really see a crisis is a situation where a problem must be solved and where problem cannot be solved. When the two forces together, the tug of war of the impossibility and must, then there is a crisis. And truly, when we analyze the situation, you really find there is a crisis. It is in that context alone that all that I have spoken has a meaning. Otherwise, all that I am talking, many people may regard it to be useless, basically. And I will understand it. It is useless. If you are not concerned with the future of this country, if you are not concerned with the true satisfaction that should come to your children, if you are not concerned with your own fulfillment, truly speaking, then all that I have said is beside the point. The world is moving, as one of my teachers said, look at it, sun is shining. Today the sun will set, tomorrow it will rise. Waters of the oceans are flowing in tide and ebb. The moon will rise, moon will set. Gardens will flourish. The flowers will come, they will wither, fruits will ripen and they will wither. This is the law of life. Why do you want to change anything? It will be like this always. Why are you worried about the world? It's also one view of life. I can understand it. It is only the teachers, among all the sections of the world, it is teachers, because teachers are dealing with children. And children have these problems, and teachers are asked to deal with them properly. And therefore you feel you are not able to do justice. And if you want to do justice, then we have to grapple with these problems in an intense manner, in a real intense manner. So we shall come again, I will come again if you like, and we shall pursue this matter. And there are many, 3-4 very important questions, but I think we shall keep them for the next time. Is that all right? I am permitted now?